Okay, it's 7:05. It must be Wednesday. We're leaving Mary Pool. This cow doesn't know whether it wants to go left or right, but it's just made a decision. And the crack in my windscreen is getting longer, which is an ominous sign. Apparently there may be some issues with obtaining fuel in Halls Creek. I was talking to a fellow yesterday and this morning at the Mary Pool site, and apparently some little vandals got into the Shell service station, smashed all the pumps, smashed all the computers that run the pumps, and so nobody could get fuel. And there is an alternative apparently, but whether that is on is going to be interesting. But once again, the name Halls Creek rears its ugly head. It's probably the most violent town in the whole of Australia for Aboriginal communities, and they really need to get their act together up there. The sign says this is a photo op, and I have taken this one before. There we are, lovely vista in the early morning, about 90 k's from Halls Creek. I've also taken the opportunity just to put a little bit of duct tape on this crack here. It is going, as we look at it, from left to right, and the two marks that you see is what the distance that it travelled overnight. When I woke up this morning, it was like that, so getting a little bit serious. I just get a warning, I haven't got enough on this SD card again, so I'll have to change to another one. Crikey, I must be going through the footage like it's going out of fashion. Bye for now. Well, I just stopped to change this SD card because I was getting a message, but it says that I'm supposed to have about 52 minutes left on this particular card, so I don't know what's happening. That's these Halls Creek bloody gremlins again. Even the GPSs are playing up a bit. Anyway, we shall press on and see what happens. I've only got 40 k's to go to Halls Creek anyway, so I can change the card then if it's necessary. This is the turn off to the Wolf Creek crater, and it's 130 down that road. I'm going to go into Halls Creek, which is 18 k's, try and fuel up, and then I think I'll come back and attempt the Wolf Creek crater road and see if we can't get down there. Halls Creek, heart of gold. Oh yeah, you're kidding me. Now, fuel. See if they've got the pumps fixed. Looks like. No fuel, till tomorrow. Try Toyota on Duncan Road. Okay, thank you. Well, I think that tells me that my plans have just changed yet again. The next stop is Warmun, 166 k's up the road, which I have certainly enough fuel to get there. Um, 166. Try Toyota on Duncan Road, they said. Oh, and there's a queue. I think I'm just going to go to Warmun. I've got sufficient fuel to get there. Righto, that's once again Halls Creek has put a spanner in the works. Okay, get over it, suck it up, sunshine. We're going to Warmun, which is going to Pernalulu. Oh, it's probably just past 160. Yeah, we'll make that. And then I think I might do an about face once I've been to Pernalulu. Try to do Wolf Creek on the way back. That's about all I can do. Thank you, Halls Creek, yet again. I see a lot of caravans coming down from the north, and they're basically all Queenslanders. I hope they topped up, because they're going to get an awful shock when they get to Halls Creek. Next services are back at Fitzroy Crossing, and towing those humongous big vans has got to really eat into their range. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but if you put a number of different issues, items of news that I've read and heard about in the last few months, one could almost argue that there is a conspiracy afoot amongst Aboriginal people to shut down areas of this country that they don't want white people into. Now, that's not a racist comment, and I'll give you examples. There was an article in the ABC news feed a couple of months ago with the Indigenous owners of Kakadu National Park threatening to shut areas of the park down because of a lack of funding and other issues. The ABC also had an article just the other day about Aboriginal corporations who they get a lot of money from the Australian government to set up enterprises for the benefit of Aboriginal people. One of those may have been that particular camp area that I saw yesterday. Great. The big problem is with the story that the ABC came out with, they actually alleged that there are a certain group of people who get into the corporations that are set up and they use them for their own benefit. Now, I alluded to this in another scene earlier. But as you drive along, you start to think, this latest little episode here may be just a coincidence. But if I were a military general and I really wanted to screw a lot of people round, one of the things to do is to make their travel plans almost impossible. How would you do that? You shut down the service stations. You damage them to such an extent that you put people off the road. Now, Halls Creek is an Aboriginal town, and there has always been problems with it. I can think of 30 odd years ago when I went through it. There were big problems then, there are big problems now. And that's why I say there needs to be probably a public inquiry into what is actually going on in this country. End of rant. These classic trees here. Have another, well, it's not another change of scenery, it's just I'm contrasting the terrain that I drive through, and we seem to have come into another area. Obviously it's pastoral land, but Boabs, there's a couple of helicopters for mustering across there. But I also noticed that there is a lot of water in the creeks, which it probably shouldn't surprise me, but any time I've ever been up here, most of these creeks are always dry, so it's quite heartening to see that there's a little bit of water in there. But the country changes with every couple of 100 k's. Warmun, or Turkey Creek as it used to be, but now we've got all these Aboriginal place names. This one is Warmun, W-A-R-M-U-N. This is another 24-hour stopping area. I'm just going to have a little bit of a look in case I need to partake of the facilities at some time. Currently 59 k's from Warmun, where I desperately hope I can get some fuel because I'm down to below a quarter of a tank. Actually, I see some of these people, they were the ones who left early this morning from, where was I? Oh, that place. Mary Pool. It's alright, pal. Okay, that's a possibility if I need to partake of the facilities on the way back. Karen is having kittens now because I've gone off the track. She's trying to put me back on the straight and narrow, aren't you, Karen? Well, we'll be there soon. Yep, she's saying turn left, turn left. And I am. Okay, so that was Leicester. Leicester. In 2 kilometres we come across the turn off to the Bungle Bungles, or the Purnululu National Park, which which is really one of the places I was heading to. However, I need to get to Warmun or Turkey Creek first to get some fuel, and then the decision will be made: do I continue on to Kununurra or come back here? Once again, all of these places are situated now south of where I need to get fuel, so I keep having to backtrack. I'm thinking in terms of, do I continue on, go straight up to Kununurra, try to do the El Questro station and then catch these things on the way back? I don't know. I'm getting a bit jaded, I must admit, because it all seems like it's not falling into place, and it's all because of that bloody Hell's Creek thing now. It's upset everything, so it looks like I have to do everything in reverse. There's a lot of activity over there anyway to the right. Anyway, that's the dilemma that I have. I haven't made the decision yet. I will keep you informed. Well, we're coming to another one-lane bridge, and it would appear to me that there may be some action going to be taken on this particular bridge, because I just saw a Main Roads WA almost construction site, a number of site offices, etc., etc., and maybe they have plans for doing something with this little bridge over the Tiklara Creek, which does have water in it. Tiklara. I never did quite catch the name. Right now I'm watching a very interesting race between my fuel gauge and my mileage counter to see which of them is going down fastest. I'm 40 k's outside of Warmun and my needle is dropping rapidly. Interesting to see which will win the race. I hope it's the mileage counter. Cattle. Horses. Wow. Brumbies. Brumbies, we call them. I wondered why the fella in the front put his brakes on and all them horses, being the skittery animals that they are, could have done it. We're going down into some twisty roads. 27 k's. The red light hasn't come on, the think the race is going to be won by the mileage meter, but I have had to put the air conditioner on because it is just unbelievably hot in this cab, and it doesn't matter if I have the windows down or the windows up, it is stinking hot. So I just hope that Warmun actually has supplies of diesel fuel, because if it doesn't, I'm screwed. 96 to Doon services. What are these boys stopped for? The brake, the breather, the comfort stop, all of the above. Okay, 2.7 to Warmun. That could have been a bit worrying. My GPS, my Garmin, US made Garmin GPS said I only had 1.7 k's to go. However, the sign said 5. Come on Garmin, get your act together. I updated my maps before I left. Warmun Roadhouse, 24-hour fuel, and it's Puma. I've been here before. I wonder if Puma makes you go faster. That's the Warmun community store. Turkey Creek Roadhouse, another kilometre. I might have to coast there. Tanks of diesel fuel off to the left. It sounds promising. Diesel. Please be having some diesel. Oh no, what's this? Prepay for fuel using your credit debit card on the machine located to the left of the main entry door. Okay, we've done that before. 196.48. I'll turn you on. Well, I'm sorry, YouTubers, because I've decided that I'm calling it quits here at Turkey Creek, or Warmun, for a number of reasons. A, Halls Creek is still unlikely to have fuel tomorrow, and I have filled up with sufficient fuel here to get back to Fitzroy Crossing, where there is no issue with fuel. That then means that I cannot take any off-road excursions, i.e. to the Bungles or Purnaloo is another 52 k's off the road, a rough dirt road, which means four-wheel driving. And to do outside of Wolf Creek Crater. That's 130 in and 130 back out. That's 230. So I cannot actually afford to go to these places because of the fuel, even though I still have another 40 litres on board. It's not, to me, it's not worth the extra hassle. And the other main thing is that this windscreen crack that I have is getting larger, and with no real hope in sight at getting it fixed in a reasonable short space of time, I will be home quicker than I can get it replaced up here. So I'm sorry, but we will continue to do some little footage here, but the actual end of the expedition to these places is gone. It of course gives me an excuse to come back and hopefully they've blown Halls Creek off the map by that time. So now I begin the journey home, having left Warmun, Turkey Creek, with an absolutely chock-a-block tank full of fuel. I'm going to make my way, and I'm still toying with the idea of at least trying to take in Wolf Creek Crater. The windscreen is apparently stable at the moment, although it moved during the night. The crack extended, so that's the only thing that's sort of worrying me, because I do have my excess tanks of fuel on board to cover that 260 kilometers if I needed to. It's a funny thing, you're always thinking, and you know, it really breaks my heart that I'm up this far yet again and have been thwarted because of things outside of my control, and I don't know whether I can actually make it up here again, because I am getting older. This gets harder and harder to do the way that I want to do it. And Pernaloo is, although that the campsite is 52 k's in and 52 k's back out, I haven't booked in, and I don't know whether there's vacancy, so it could be another aborted effort if I try. I'll see when I get further down towards it, because it's only probably another 20-30 k's, and I'll stop at the gate and have a look and see if I can make any inquiries. If I can get booked and I can get in there, I'd like to do it. If I can't, I have to accept it and make plans for another year to do it. I always keep in mind what they keep telling pilots, you know, err on the side of caution, and that's what I do, because if you were flying an aeroplane, obviously you would not take the risks. Because I'm on the ground, I'm not likely to crash to earth, but it's the same theory. Do you risk it or do you not? And safety, common sense says you don't, but sometimes your heart overrules your head. Well, I've just recrossed Tikalara Creek, and they should rename this East Kimberley area the area of one-lane bridges, because there are heaps of them up here. Anyway, there's the road construction offices I was telling you about earlier. Maybe they're going to do some more work on this road and widen it and put some decent bridges in. Who knows? As I've been driving along here, and I'm coming close to the entrance to the Bungles, and I think because I have my extra 40 litres of fuel on board, And I know I shouldn't, but I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to have a little bit of a look down. It's 52 k's in on a rough dirt road apparently. So we'll go and have a look and take a chance and just hope this windscreen doesn't crack any further. But that's a spring creek now. Bungle Range National Park, 500 k's, and they even have a sign that says caravan, so the road can't be that bad. Let's do it. It's 53 into the national park. A helicopter flight. Let's see if we can book in. Oh, visitor centre. Caravan park, 1 kilometre. Well, I just read the blurb and I'm not going to do it, certainly not this time, because it apparently early in the season, which this is, it can take 2 to 3 hours to actually travel that 53 k's in there, and I have no guarantee that I can actually stay in there, so I haven't got 6 hours to spare. And I think this is a part of the country that I will actually have to make a special trip for. Just get up here and actually do that particular park, because I believe it's very spectacular. But right now, with some of the little problems that I'm experiencing here, I think we'll have to give it a miss. That's unfortunate. Anyway, as I said earlier, I can't have any regrets. I just have to take it on the chin and accept that, hey, you can't do it this time. So there you go. Sorry, YouTubers, again. In reading about the Bungles or Purnaloo, there were a whole list of conditions about the types of vehicle you can take in there. I did see, I said, oh, there's caravans. The sign said caravans, but there was a parking area for caravans. And the idea is leave your caravan there and drive in with your 4-wheel drive. And that's when I read that it can take 2 to 3 hours. There are a number of different creek crossings. There's blind rises. It's very rough and rocky, and I thought, well, I'm not really that prepared to do all that sort of stuff right now. So I might do some more research on that for a future trip. Come on, girls, it's not a picnic you're having. They're grazing the bitumen. Well, I'm on the Tanami Road to Crater, and I'm just going to give it I'm a bit wary about what the surface is like and whether I'm going to have enough fuel, because there was none at have sufficient fuel to get where I'm going and return, even with my 40 litres. So I've had a go at it. This is still for another day, and I'm determined I'm going to do this bloody Tanami track one day, but not today. I've lost interest in the whole idea since virtually this morning, because of the little problems with Halls Creek. But that's not the only thing. I mean, there's windscreen and fuel situation, the rest of it. So sorry folks, that's it. I heard this morning that the fuel stops along this road. This road goes all the way to Alice Springs, and it's the 2 or 3 fuel stops that were there. One has closed permanently, and I was told that another of the communities have stopped supplying fuel. This all sort of goes round with what I was talking about earlier today, about there seems to be a movement afoot to stop us people actually traversing some of these roads. They're making it more and more difficult. So I'm not prepared today to take the risk of going any further just to see a meteorite crater, much as I'd like to see it. Anyway, this is a sample of the Tanami Road from the northern end. And to all intents and purposes, it doesn't seem too bad, certainly as an equal with the Great Central Road that I travelled on. It's time for me to start heading home now and get this vehicle serviced, repaired, the windscreen repaired, and start planning for another trip. Maybe later in the season. In order to do a trip like this, you really have to be in a frame of mind. And as I say, I got out of my frame of mind really this morning for some reason. Well, I know what the reasons were. And I think after sort of 18 days now, I'm ready to jack this in. I've lost the enthusiasm just for the moment. Maybe it's because I've been to most of these places before anyway. But it's this is one that I haven't, and I think I have to be in the right frame of mind to do it, whether it be from the Alice Springs end or this end that we've just entered and are now going to exit. But anyway, it's just a lesson for anybody, I guess, that's contemplating coming out here. You really have to be keen, and I suppose like anything, when the first time you ever go is always the most exciting, and then it all becomes a bit repetitive, and I think that's where I'm at right now. This has become a little bit repetitive, and I need to recharge my batteries again and develop some enthusiasm. This is all, a lot of this is tied up with COVID, with the idea that we can't actually do a lot of travel. And I mean, I shouldn't be complaining, and I'm not. I'm so lucky to be able to do this and to share it with other people through YouTube. But it's also quite wearing on me mentally, in the sense that I'm a bit reluctant to leave the state in case something happens. And you know, there are a lot of other areas in this country that I would really like to go to, but at this point in time, I'm not really mentally prepared to do a lot of those things, much as I used to. So who knows, 6 months down the track, I hopefully will get my enthusiasm back and say, right, I'm going to do it again. And I mean, I am very keen. The first couple of weeks you get very keen, but then it's go, been there, done that. So, and I don't want to be like that. I want to be enthusiastic about things that I do. And unfortunately right now I've just sort of lost my enthusiasm for a bit. But as I say, we'll see. 6 months might change my tune. Anyway, no matter what happens, let's call that a taste of the Tanami, with hopefully more to come in the future. So now we'll go back onto the highway and I'll probably end up camping again. That's where I left this morning. At, where was it? Mary Pool. Fitzroy Crossing 279. Yeah, I've got enough fuel to get there. Well, this would be a first because we're returning to the scene of the crime. This is where we left from this morning. Mary Pool entrance. Same campsite, or will I? We don't know. We'll check. Celebrate my homecoming to Mary Pool for the second night in a row. I'm going to cook up a storm of spaghetti bolognese, and I've got my glass of wine from exclusive Berry Estates in a 5 litre box, which is warm. Try warmed wine, I'm sure you'll hate it. Anyway, that's what we're going to be having. I've already prepared something earlier, a sauce, very nice. And all I'm waiting for now is for the sun to go down a little bit because I had a problem with insects and I don't want them eating all my spaghetti. Tonight I selected a different campsite. No, I'm not exactly under the tree, so I did watch for falling branches and I'm pretty safe. If they fall, they'll fall on my chair. Probably when I'm having a sleep in it after my dinner of spaghetti bolognese. Not many people here at the moment, thank goodness. And I'm closest to the dunnies tonight, in case of need, of course. And for the evening's entertainment, we'll have a big crossword 9 from Christine Lovett. I have been through all of them up to number 8, and I've just started number 9. Not going too badly for 18 days on the road. Okay, now comes the worst part of the evening. Before I go to bed, I have to clean up because if I don't, I can't get up my ladder. Okay, so we've got our trusty Kmart collapsible dishwashing basin, and with a liberal use of sponge and not an awful lot of water, you can see, we'll do the dishes. Unfortunately for you people, I can't show you me doing this because I haven't put it on the tripod because I'm too lazy. And just to prove and to make you people realise that you're not losing out, you're not missing out, you'll see that I've actually washed the dishes there. They have soap suds on them. The big problem, of course, is I have leftovers. Oh dear. Because when you're cooking for one, your eyes are bigger than your belly. But I have here a Systema get that in focus, and it's not. But anyway, it's a recyclable container, and I will put my leftover spaghetti sauce in there, and hopefully I'll fit it in my fridge. Now the dishes are almost complete. As you can see, I've put my dregs in the container, and all that remains is to finish doing the dishes, and then I'll have a well-earned cup of coffee or tea or whatever. The trick about this is, of course, I'm going to have to eat this again tomorrow. Now if you're going to come camping with fussy kids, my advice is don't, because they got to eat everything. Waste not, want not. Now I've never done this before, but here are a couple of tips that I have found, the essentials for camping in this type of environment that I'm camping in. I have one of these compendium sets which has bowls within it. The bottom part there is a fry pan. I do bring in a kettle. It's not an electric kettle, it's a whistling kettle, but also a billy, because when you want just one cuppa quick, that's the thing to use. And I'm going to have one of these Nescafe cappuccinos, and I have some leftover shortbread biscuits that I better eat before they go off. Oh dear, lucky me. Anyway, a couple of tips. These are the essentials, and also paper towel. What I normally do is before I actually clean my dishes in the water, I give them a good wipe out with paper towel. So make sure you have plenty of paper towel, and also plastic disposable rubbish bags that you can put everything into and tie up as you need and dispose of in the bins provided. So now I've all packed up, I've got my ladder back in position, and I'm having my cup of cappuccino and my shortbread biscuits over there, and then I'm going to fall into the sack and go to sleep. So, good night, folks. I'm just deciding actually whether to stay here or move along. I think I'll move along further. There's a camp spot. Whoop, there's my kettle. We shall turn it off. Although this is a nice spot and it's reasonably shady, I'm going to go to a place I think called Ellen Bray. There is still a chance that the Leopold Downs Road is open. That's the one out to Winjana Gorge. So I'd like to get a bit closer, maybe to Fitzroy Crossing, and find out what the road conditions are like.